What's going on, guys? It's Wednesday. We're coming in hot like Jake Sully on a dragon beast holding a machine gun. We're talking Avatar. We'll see you guys in just one quick second.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
Boom! Oh, there we go.
Take two.
Take two. Put some fire in my belly that it's still Dre. It's Wednesday. We're here.
It's Jake Sully.
Jake Sully. Oh man, is this gonna be like a Wakanda situation?
I don't know, man. I don't really know. This movie is so... I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Nork and I, is it offensive for me to do the Natiri accent? I feel like it is.
Well, it's a Navi. You're just gonna be Zoe?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do it. No one will care.
No one will care. What's up, everybody? It's Action Movie Anatomy. It's Wednesday. We're here. We're talking Avatar. This is a fan favorite film. That's some alliteration for you. We talk action movies on this show, and we're excited to be back. Man, we've got so much exciting stuff going on. There's so much crazy action news to talk about. We'll get to some of it. But this is Action Movie Anatomy.
It is.
We talk action movies on this show. This guy right here, Andrew Guy, my co-host on this show.
That's me. This guy right here?
Yeah.
Ben, my co-host on the show.
He's got a giant head.
I'm good. I feel like, yeah, man, so much happened between last show and this show. It feels like it's actually been a couple weeks since we've been here for some reason. That's how I feel like so much has gone on this last week.
Stay tuned, guys. At the end of the show, we'll give you a little bit of a teaser of kind of what's coming. We can't talk too much about it yet, but it will be revealed over the next few weeks. But we'll definitely give you guys a little bit of a teaser if you stay tuned at the end of the show.
Yes.
Big shout out to Kim and Kareen in the Denuzo family.
Yes. Happiest of birthdays.
Happiest birthdays. We got a birthday today. We had a birthday last week, and we just wanted to honor you guys here. Paul, celebrity of the show, deserves that shout out.
Yeah, Denuzo was definitely a celebrity of the show.
Yeah, you guys deserve the shout out, so happy birthday. Big Patreon shout outs. We got Tim Welch and John Tedward Coster.
Boom!
We salute
you. John Tedward Coster. It's cool to see people's names that you've seen like in the Facebook fan group for a long time. Like another one that I've seen pop up a lot lately in actually the live chat and on Facebook is Adrian K. I'm just going to say K. Because it's
Kwiatkowski?
Yeah, it's like a very...
Going off memory here.
A lot of syllables. Yeah, I know. I was like, I know there's an Owski in it and a K. But it was cool to see him like sign up for the Patreon. So yeah, it's always nice to see you guys hopping on board.
So a big thank you to everybody who's helping us continue this action thing. But yes, we cover action movies on the show. Today we're covering Avatar. It's been 10 years. That is the reason we're talking Avatar today. It's a favorite movie of Richard Eric Jarvie, I know. Another one of our fan favorites. We're fans of Richard Eric Jarvie, so talking about him. The movies we cover on here have 4 basic rules.
Yes, they do.
Usually. Rule number 1, the hero always plays by their own rules. He has no legs, and he manages to save the race. I feel like Jake Sully plays by his own rules.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing he does is break out of the center when he first becomes an avatar.
Jake Sully.
It's
not offensive.
It's not offensive.
I'm probably not the best to be the judge of that.
Look, if anyone from Navi is watching and they're offended, please call into the show.
If you are part of the indigenous population and I'm offending you, look, I'm sorry, okay?
I'm just saying, making Zahelu with things made me slightly uncomfortable.
What did you call me?
Ben and I made Zahelu.
Yes, that's a whole other conversation we need to have. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain, about the movie, not what we did.
About us having Zahelu?
Yeah, rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, things, dinosaurs in the room. I guess, so Jake knows both sides, so he is kind of the smartest guy in the room.
He's playing both sides.
So, yes, and then I guess the villains, it's like Stephen Lang and...
They're kind of like those dumb, like, military mindless drones and, like, corporate drones, right? Like, they don't actually seem smart. I mean, Stephen Lang is probably the smartest other person, I guess.
He is, because he plays Jake. He gets him inside, and then there's a couple moments. I think he is the smartest guy in the room, technically.
Yeah. He knows how to manipulate.
Yeah.
He's the best part of the movie, honestly.
Stephen Lang's sweet.
Yeah.
I want to know where he got his scar.
I do, too. I'm surprised they didn't, like, talk about it or show it or, like...
Probably in the 4-hour version of this that James Cameron released. I heard there's, like, a 4-hour unrendered version you can watch.
I think so.
That's way better, people say.
I don't understand how it can be better if it's longer.
Anytime people say that, that's like the BVS extended. Yeah. And they're like, oh, Batman vs. Superman was 2.5 hours, but there's a 4-hour version you can watch of a movie you didn't like, and it's way better.
Dude, I went and watched the extended versions of Lord of the Rings, and, like, I might get crucified for this. I don't think they're as good.
No, they're not.
Like, there's a reason why the movies are cut the way they are for like general audiences.
There's interesting scenes.
oh,
that are
definitely.
cool.
There's great scenes in it.
And there are probably some scenes, like I would argue at least 25% of the cut scenes that, like, if they had added to the movie, maybe it would have made the theatrical release better. But on the whole, editing is there for a reason.
It doesn't move fast enough.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine that the 4-hour version of this is a lot better, but, you know, whatever. Rule number 3, the movie is driven by a police, military, political figure. Boom!
It also includes mercenary, by the way.
It always feels good when we nail that one.
Yeah, there you go. And rule number 4, the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion. There's hella explosions in this movie. You like that?
I don't know why it was so funny. But I did like it.
Yeah.
Really quickly before we hop into the trailer, we got Marissa Serafini up in the booth. The booth is not above us. We always point up. Marissa, you actually just watched this movie for the first time. You said like 2 years ago. So just really quickly, like I said, before we hop in the trailer, what did you think of it?
I mean, I really enjoyed the world that we see, you
Yeah.
know, from the difference between the humans and then when we go into this nice, gorgeous world, and then how everyone, there's still a lot of humanistic elements that are still the same via the indigenous world and the human world, and, you know, family and love and all that. But really, I just remember it being so long.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you didn't see any 3D, right? You didn't have like a 3D TV or anything.
I just watched it on a regular TV.
Gotcha.
It's surprisingly long. I think I have to say, when I queued it up, I didn't really...
I'd forgotten.
Well, I'd forgotten that it was so long, but it also doesn't make as much sense. It doesn't make as much sense when the tone of the movie is what it is. When you watch it back, you're like, this is a story that's been told a bunch of times. Like this exact story. This is Fern Gully.
This is Pocahontas.
This is Dances with Wolves.
Yep.
This is The Last Samurai to some degree. This is what this is. And we've seen this story, and you can tell the story in 87 minutes if you're a Disney movie.
Yep.
It's not hard to do. So like, because there's nothing dark about this movie whatsoever. It's literally it's the opposite. It's the brightest movie I can think of that's ever been made. Like, it's so incredible and neon to watch that, like, I don't really know how James Cameron convinced himself that A, this needed to be 2 hours and 41 minutes, or B, that there needed to be 4 sequels, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I definitely, because there's something, I was talking to Jeff Graham, our buddy out there, and there's something I want to bring up with that. So without further ado, let's watch the trailer. Somehow my keyboard on my phone got turned into French today.
Nice.
And like...
That's why you said it that way.
That's exactly why.
I'm on fire today.
You are. You're killing me.
I'd like to talk to you about a fresh start on a new world. You'd be making a difference.
Should have been Bruce Greenwood.
Yeah, it should. Perfect time period for him, too.
That would have been excellent for his career.
I told myself I can pass any test a man can pass.
This trailer.
It's a
All
good
I ever
trailer.
wanted was a single thing worth fighting for.
It's an exciting trailer.
It's already way better than the movie.
I'm in.
Stephen Lang is so ripped.
You're on Pandora.
He had to be
Should see your
close to
faces.
50 when they made
There's an
this.
indigenous
sure.
population called the Navi. They are very hard to kill.
This is why we're here. Because this little gray rock sells
He's well
for
cast.
20 million
Yeah,
a kilo.
he's perfect.
Their
I love
village
Giovanni.
happens to be resting on the richest deposit, and they need to relocate. Those savages are threatening.
It was almost
our whole
weird to see him
operation.
in this movie
We're
when
on
it
the
came out,
brink
because it
of
already
war,
felt like his
and you're
star had
supposed to be
passed.
finding
But then he
a
kind of
diplomatic
has come
solution.
back since.
Yeah,
What a
little
weird
bit.
career he's had.
I know, he's so talented. I wonder if
Yeah.
there's like, there must be something with working with him, or maybe he's like an artiste.
He's
You
a
know what I mean?
Scientologist. I think he was raised as one.
That's gotta be it.
Marine in an avatar body. That's a potent mix.
You get me what I need, I'll see to it you get your legs back. Your real legs.
Yeah. What's cool about this movie is that
This is your avatar.
the concept of Avatar, even though it's relatively simple,
Yeah.
is so cool and exciting, and it's executed perfectly. Visually,
Yes.
it's that's I think why people love this movie so much. Is when you watch it, it's like the idea of like just becoming like an animal in like another environment, where like you're running with the animals. Like, I mean, obviously they're not animals,
Sweet
but
that.
like,
I mean, well, you think about like the leaps and bounds that VR's taken over the last couple
Yeah.
of years. You
Yeah.
know, it's crazy.
and that's what's executed perfectly about this movie, and that's why I think people enjoy it as much as they do. Because I don't think anybody would argue that like the writing or the story is what makes this movie great.
Right.
This is your fault.
Dude, I'm calling it right now.
Huh.
Avatar 2 is going to be like, you're going to be an avatar.
VR
You're going to be
experience?
sitting there in the theater as a character in the movie.
Supposed to come out next year, so
I mean, they could do that in a year, easy. Like,
Yeah.
there's a technology for it. Cameron's the type of guy to do it. God, this trailer's just like the movie.
it's very long.
Jake Sully.
Strong,
Jake
brave,
Sully.
weak, and nobody does a thing.
You've got 1 hour.
Alex McFarland has Guy McQueenie and Bateman and Guy on her roster. Singles and teams.
Oh, wow, look at that.
She's a genius.
So she's team guy, but she also drafted Bateman.
Bows and arrows.
She's team action. You're just a traitor.
Pretty sure I saw hashtag Ben the bitch somewhere, and I think it came from her.
It did come from her.
So say what you will, you're fired. It was in a private message to you on the Patreon.
It was. I saw it.
You allow me to read now, but
Take whatever they want.
Oh my gosh.
Marissa, how long is this trailer I've ever seen?
Time enough.
We've actively been talking over it.
The whole time.
Still going.
That's what I did for the movie.
Yeah.
That thing was sweet.
Avatar.
Turok.
The big orange beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turakaraka.
Kind of like Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Is that what you're
Exactly.
saying?
That's exactly that's the word I keep saying.
I feel like they stole the font.
Game
Actually.
was so sweet.
Yeah, it was so good.
All right.
All right,
So that was a long trailer.
It was, guys. So coming up today on the show, we're talking Avatar. We have a few segments to talk. We're going to be talking about buy or sell James Cameron today. Right now, do you buy or do you sell James Cameron? We're going to be talking about one movie each that Drew and I both adamantly believe should have 4 sequels made. We're both going to pitch that to you guys. We might even talk Over Sieged, Under Siege, Properly Sieged on our boy Sam Worthington, depending if we have time or not. But without further ado,
Nice.
French keyboard
Call
man.
back.
We're going to get into thesis statements, your biggest, boldest thought about the film. The thing that if this movie comes up, you would say at a party, you drop the mic. That's what thesis statement is. You want to jump in first, yours?
Yeah, I think I will. And talking to Marissa about this before the show, I think kind of solidifies it. And what I have to say about this movie is that no film has been propelled past its actual scale, its actual quality by visuals more than Avatar.
Yeah.
This movie is not actually that good, but when you walked out of the theater, I remember when I walked out of the theater. I think I even said this when I walked out of the theater. I was like, holy shit, that was amazing.
Yep.
Maybe the coolest theater experience I've ever had in my life. It was mesmerizing.
Unreal. Yep.
But I did know in that moment, if all that was taken away, that movie would have been exponentially worse in my mind. And going back and watching it this week and last week, it took me 4 attempts to watch this movie. I watched in order. I watched the first hour, then the second hour, and then I watched the first hour again.
Yep.
And then I watched the third hour, and then I watched the second and then the third again, like in that order.
Took me 4 sittings as well.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And like I was trying. I was really trying.
So was I.
I was like, we have to do this on the show.
How many games of Clash would you say you got in during the watch?
A lot.
Yeah, okay.
Like a lot. Well, that was the problem is on those last 3 viewings, I had to not play at all.
It's a hard and fast rule for me now. I don't allow myself anymore because I can't.
You can't. You get so distracted.
I level down on trophies too hard, or I just don't watch the movie. But it's
You're
one or
either
the other.
frustrated or you have no idea what just happened
And
in
then
the
I
movie.
hate the movie because I'm losing. So I just don't do it anymore.
You like relate the feeling of frustration from the game to the film.
I legitimately almost threw my phone across the room the other day. That's how angry it got
Clash
me.
can make me really upset.
I've never thrown it. I slammed it. I was in bed and I slammed it down. Like,
I like to punch pillows.
yeah, it was upsetting for me. Anyway,
We're
guys,
grown men.
Yeah. So yes. So that's a reasonable thesis statement.
It seems. I
think
mean,
that's
like
fair.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but what I am saying, I think is fair.
And I think my thesis is going to be kind of on the same path. I mean, I think what's interesting about this show, guys, and if you're listening or watching right now and you're kind of picking up that this is what's happening, you can gather neither Drew or myself watched this movie and we're like, man, this was exactly the movie that I thought I was watching, and I'm excited to talk about how great it is.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about our experience of watching this movie, which will be an entertaining experience, and there's things about this movie I know that we both appreciate. That's what we're here to do. And if you love this movie and you appreciate it in ways we don't, honestly, you should leave your thoughts in the comments. You should tweet at us. You should let us know, because that's the most fun part of the show, is having conversations about things. Like, some of my best conversations have been disagreements with Kearns on, why he doesn't love a movie that I love or something.
Right,
I mean, that's literally like what the point is, which, by the way, if you guys want to follow along, you can find me personally at Ben Bateman Media.
You guys can find me at Andrew Guy.
Yeah, and we have a Twitter that you can find at Andrew's a Dirty Trader. No, it's at Team Action Show, and that's the best place to interact with us there. There's some other cool stuff as well. We'll get into some other shout-outs in a bit. My thesis statement is kind of similar, and it is Avatar is the greatest color palette experience you will ever have watching a film.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like really not even close. My old roommate,
Annihilation was close.
it's gorgeous, and a lot of the same kind of feelings and a lot of the same colors too. My old roommate Jeff Burns, who you know well, and Burnsy has his movies that he loves. He's the guy who owns the Braveheart sword that we brought in on that episode.
Yeah.
Avatar was one of those movies for him that he would watch all the time. First of all, he has a bit of a penchant for the Dances with Wolves story. Dances with Wolves being like his other favorite movie of all time. He just watches the same thing. But
I haven't seen that movie.
Dances with Wolves?
I think I've seen it once when I was like 8.
I've never seen it.
Really?
It's
Is it on your
my-
list?
It's on my list this year, yeah. I'm getting there.
I'll watch it before you.
But it's the same story. And what he always would say about Avatar, when I would ask him, I'd be like, I don't think this movie's that good. I saw it in theaters. Like, I just don't remember thinking it was that rewatchable. And he would be like, it's just such a wonderful thing to look at. Like, it's such a crazy experience to look at how perfectly constructed and color corrected every frame, every shot, every leaf, every plant.
Yes.
Like, it's truly, when you talk about the difference between CGI and that CGI that becomes eventually dated, and then CGI that's like a piece of art, like truly a piece of art that ages, and it looks different than the other stuff from the time that kind of ages out. It doesn't look fake. It truly looks intentional. Like every frame of it looks exactly the way it's supposed to look. And that's what Cameron does well. I mean, that's why his practical effects became his practical 3D, and practical 3D is still something 10 years later that looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he innovated the whole entire industry with this movie, and that's why, when we get into talking about the movies that are going to be coming after and the next Avatar is like, you got to think innovation is going to be there. Now, looking at the chat, guys, I'm not saying that visuals aren't a big part of it, and this is a conversation Ben and I were having this week. Speaking on cinematography and editing being removed from the actual part of the Oscars you're going to be watching. Don't get me wrong. I think visuals are a huge part of it. I just don't think a movie should drop from an A or a B plus to a C or a C minus just because you're not seeing it in 3D anymore, just because you're not seeing it in the theaters. But that's neither here nor there. That's just how I feel. Thesis in the chat. Is there anything I'm missing? James Cameron, Jacob Leaf says, James Cameron is just as important as just as important and iconic as an inventor as he is as a filmmaker. I can see that. He's done it many, many times.
Eddie Green, posting from Terminator 101, a podcast he does, I think, every week about Terminator. I've been on the show before. He always has cool guests about the Terminator franchise. He says here, Avatar is Cameron's best worst film, a story told countless times before, visuals never seen before. It's a great point, and it is sort of why it's an incredible movie that's also the most simplistic. But yeah, that's going to be my thesis statement, so we can continue moving on with the show. Thanks for being in the chat, guys. We'll continue to share your thoughts throughout the show. So next up, we are going to talk about that thing that happens in the movie, that thing that just really gets you going, and we call it fist pump moment. Fist pump moment is that thing, something happens in the movie, you kind of look around, you're like, are you seeing this right now? I'm so hyped! I get to watch the rest of this movie! You want to call your buddy and cue it up, just watch this movie, and I'm going to tell you what my fist pump moment is.
I'm curious.
It's a small moment, but I think it's because there's so much of this movie that I have to strain to be paying attention to and put myself in their world to relate to. And it's the moment when Stephen Lang comes and he sits down with Jake. It's after Jake's already become a part of the tribe.
Oh, when he's like, you're slipping or whatever.
And he says, you got to give me time to finish this thing. And he looks at him, he's like, you better get to it then.
Right.
And you're like, oh, yeah, you're not going to give him time.
No.
You're 100% going to kill all these people.
Stephen Lang knows.
And so does Jake.
Yeah.
And Jake knows this just from the look that he gives him. This is on. This is not going to go well for my people. This guy is not my friend, and he just used me, and I don't know what to do.
I do love those scenes in movies where it's like two people sit down and they have a conversation and they both walk away exactly how they felt when they walked in. You know what I mean? No matter what was said.
He's just a legitimately intimidating character. And he's great. And the thing that's so great about him is so take for instance, last week we did the Shawshank Redemption. Great episode, by the way, guys. Drew McQueenie comes on, tells a wonderful story. Check it out.
Yeah.
We talked about the Warden and how kind of black and white cardboard of a villain the Warden feels. Like, where's his character motivation? Why is he so evil? Well, you could make the same argument for Stephen Lang, except the difference is he's the warden of a prison with a family, and he's making deals on the side, whereas Stephen Lang's a military man.
And he's also looking out for human race, like humankind.
And he's a military man.
Yeah.
So, in his mind, he's like, I'm following orders. I'm never going to stop doing my job because my whole life is this. This is what my life is. So you don't really have to wonder, why is he so intent on stopping the things that are in his way? He's intent on stopping those things because that's his job, and that's the only thing he knows. Mm-hmm. So it makes his character way more defensible because, we all understand the way the military works. And those guys, those military men that are in for life,
they are trained. Their
Live
brains work in one way.
and die by their mission.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, he so I was actually Richard made a post or a comment here about his thesis saying that Quaritch, is that Ribisi? Or is
Quaritch?
that Quaritch?
You can just call him a shit weasel if you want.
I don't know who I want to make sure that it's not Lang. I don't even know. But so speaking of Lang, is like he doesn't feel as cardboard as like the warden did. Yeah, he just felt like a more dimensional. I think it's also just because he's a very good actor. Like all of his scenes were really compelling and like I just really love him
He's
in
got
this
presence for sure.
Yeah, dude, I love Stephen Lang. I'm
He has
a
he
huge
has-
fan.
He has all the presence that Sam Worthington does not have.
Yeah, poor Sam. So my fist pump is gonna be when Lang equals Quaritch. Okay, cool. Thank you, Marissa. Yeah, so I think he actually has some dimensions to him. I get that he is just like a straight up bad guy, but speaking of Lang, my fist pump is gotta be, first of all, the Na'vi and their arrows.
Yeah.
I love the bow and arrows. The fact that they're like javelins.
And they're huge.
They're massive.
Yes.
And like how strong they are. When Tiri finally gets to Stephen Lang, when she finally gets him at the end when he's about to kill Worthington, I don't know what it is, but for me, the
double arrows,
those big arrows, the double arrows, and you just see him, he's done.
What character is it reminiscent of?
Oh, it's from it's Boromir.
Yeah, exactly. It's the
So
same thing.
Same thing. So I was like watching, I was like, this is just Boromir, but like bigger and better. And I loved it.
Yeah, it's sweet. I agree. It's funny that Lang is, for both of us, is our fist bump, because I totally agree. Like he's just the guy that, like, when he's on the screen in that movie, I'm the most compelled.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think a couple people's fist bumps is just Lang.
Yeah.
They just say it's just Lang.
And he got a bit of a career boost off this movie. I mean, I believe, if I remember correctly, he got a Fox show called Terra Forma. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that
Terra
like
something. I remember that.
It wasn't maybe Terra Forma, but it was like there was
Terra Nova.
Terra
Yeah,
Nova.
Terra Nova.
It lasted like 1 or 2 seasons, and there was that show Cameron produced called Falling Skies that didn't have
Right.
him, but like over the course of the next couple of years, there was a few things, and I know
He was in
Lang,
Don't Breathe, which I love.
Yeah.
The scary movie.
Yeah, he got elevated. I think he had just been kind of a career character guy who Avatar was a big moment for him, but yeah, I just 100% agree that. Oh wow, Jacob Leaf says he met Lang once. He was really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Their bones are reinforced with naturally occurring carbon fiber. They're very hard to kill.
Yeah,
That's a sweet line.
He's just got like a lot of good scenes. I mean, he just he steals the movie for me. But that's fist bump moment, guys. So be sure to share yours in the chat here. We'll try to share a few more of yours. Let's continue rolling through the show. We're gonna get into career profiles right now.
Yeah, so this is very, very interesting on both these sides. So like Zoe Saldana might just be one of, if not the most famous female actress in the world, like one of. But like, is it because she's blue and because she's green and because she's this and that she's not actually, because she doesn't just play herself in movies a lot,
Right.
Like
she's
what
not
she looks like.
actually that famous is what you're saying?
Yeah, but she is though. You know what I mean? Like she is literally one of the biggest stars in the world. And has been for a long, long time. This was 10 years ago.
And as we know, with motion capture and like what we see with Andy Serkis, you know, it's like that shit's hard and it's amazing. And she does a great job in this character.
And Gamora's arc in Infinity War is incredible. So like Zoe back in 2008, she was doing Vantage Point, The Skeptic in 2009, and Star Trek in 2009, and Avatar in 2009. And then she starts doing Marvel movies a few years later. Like, how is she like low-key the most famous female actress in the world?
Yeah, I mean, she's had as much or more success than almost any
And she's
other
beautiful
actress.
I actually have a question. Do
Yeah.
you think she's the biggest actress in the world, or is she's in the biggest movies?
She's definitely not the biggest actress in the world.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
she's
it's exactly what I'm saying though. Is like she's not the biggest actress at all, even though she keeps popping up in the biggest movies.
Yeah, I mean, she's in the biggest movies, and I mean, I think some of the fact that she's less of a household face and name is the fact that obviously you know people don't necessarily remember that it's Zoe Saldana because the character doesn't look like Zoe Saldana really. And you know, as Gamora, she obviously looks like Zoe Saldana, but she's green and she's covered in makeup. And the Star Trek movies are now a few years old. You know, the last one that was really significant came out in like 2013.
Yeah.
So I mean, she is super duper famous and she's well loved, but definitely she hasn't had that breakout dramatic performance where like she was in the David O. Russell movie alongside Jennifer.
Right.
Jennifer, I'm having a stroke.
What are you talking about? What movie?
Hunger Games.
Hungry. Oh, Jennifer Lawrence.
There you go.
I was like,
Yeah, I just had a struggle there. So yeah, I think it's interesting, and yeah, I remember like Zoe Saldana. she was an up-and-comer at this point. You know, I know she had been working, but she wasn't really known at that point. Now, on the other side of things, you have truly an unknown. You have Sam Worthington, and we talk about this a lot, but
yeah, one of the most fascinating careers in Hollywood.
these guys happen sometimes. You'll see this where it's the way it works, guys. Usually out here, we kind of see this sometimes. Is somebody will come to Hollywood. Let's say they've been working for a long time. Let's say they've been in some local TV, maybe in another country. Maybe they've had a small role in a film, whatever it is. A casting director, a producer, someone will get a hold of this person and they'll decide, I'm going to put this person in a big movie. Their agent starts spinning that story to other agencies around town, to other projects. Now, all of a sudden, the Hollywood machine is, everybody wants to know, who is the Sam Worthington guy? Why is he going to be an Avatar? Or maybe it wasn't Avatar first, maybe it was Terminator Salvation. But whatever it is, they all start kind of spiraling together. And somebody will get cast to shoot a bunch of things back to back to back. Now, usually you'll see it in like a group of 3 or 4 projects. Sometimes they come out of it successful. Sometimes they don't. Worthington's a guy that really didn't come out of his very successful. You look at a guy like Jason Clarke, who sort of had that moment. He managed to come out of his with a lot of success.
Courtney is another guy who didn't really come out of it successful.
Yeah, you look at Garrett Hetland when he started. He was like this 19-year-old from Arizona who like had the same thing happen, you know, Four Brothers, Friday Night Lights, and Troy all at once.
Right.
He managed to turn it into a real career. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but in this case, it's not that he's bad. He is just that generic lead character.
He's just too boring to continue to be leading movies.
Yeah.
Like, or he's just not compelling enough. Now, for instance, when you throw him in Hacksaw Ridge, he's great. He's like a supporting captain or whatever, you know?
Yeah, right.
And I really like him in that movie.
And he's in, I mean, yeah, like we saw him in Everest. Like, he's had roles. The guy works. And that's the thing, is like, you can't really be in Terminator, in this movie, in Clash of the Titans, all like the same year without, basically within a year of each other.
Crazy.
Without having a career afterwards. Like, you just, you know, he will work. He's a recognizable face enough. But you have to wonder, you're like, what did Cameron see? What was the process like that Cameron saw this guy and was like, I'm going to take this guy's non-American accent, I'm going to make him work as my lead American Marine, and there's something about this guy that is so good, I can base the biggest movie I've ever made in my entire career, the most expensive movie of all time at that point, maybe still, on this guy. I'm going to bank it all on the success of this guy being compelling and his voice working.
I mean, that's one of the most interesting things about Cameron, right? Is like, even Sigourney Weaver. Like Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn, Ed Harris, Sam Worthington, these are not leading men and women, really. Like Sigourney the most, by far, because of James Cameron.
Yeah.
But like, everyone else, he's always been like a pretty interesting guy in the sense of he's taken these people that are really better as supporting actors and putting them in the lead, because it's not about like the story, it's not about their performance specifically, you know?
Yep.
It's very interesting. So, that being said, we're going to get into production development, and we know James Cameron.
Yeah.
We know him very well. We've talked about him many, many times on this show. You know, he was a truck driver trying to make movies to make trying to make money to make enough movie. Wow. Trying to make enough money to make his first movie. He was a truck driver, and then, you know, Terminator, Aliens, these things all happen, and now he is who he is. So we don't need to talk about that. What I do want to talk about is this buying and selling idea.
Yeah, guys, so we introduced a segment a couple weeks ago, and today we are bringing it back. This is buy or sell James Cameron. Are you buying him for the rest of his career? Are you selling right now based on the success, the accolades? Where do you put him? Do you think he's worth betting on or not? I'm going to start with you, Drew. Do you buy Cameron or do you sell Cameron? This is going forward. This is 2019 forward.
It's so crazy, man, because, like, it's James fucking Cameron.
Yeah.
Right? Like, without a doubt, one of the greatest directors ever. However, I sell James Cameron because this happens a lot to directors, and it also happens a lot in older age with certain just entertainers where they get stuck on something.
Yeah.
He's stuck on Avatar.
Yeah.
And he needs to not be stuck on it. Like, look at Scorsese and what he's still doing. You know? Like Wolf of Wall, like the vast difference in the movies that he's making, the unique titles that he's coming up with, and it's like Cameron's like, I'm going to be working on Avatar from 2009 until I die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I don't care, man. Like, the first one wasn't good. Like, it wasn't great. It was good enough. And like, I could have seen a second and a third one within the next 6 years, but not the second one 10 years later. And I also think that, like, you look at all these directors now that are incredible storytellers that have beautiful visuals. Like, look at Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Like, I know for a fact, and you can tell even by the casting.
Yeah.
Look at the cast of Dune. Everyone is dying to be in that movie. Everyone is dying to see the cast of that movie. Denis is literally what James Cameron was 20 years ago.
Which finger would you give up to be in that movie?
The one that is the most important.
You would give up a thumb.
The thumb or the index.
Yeah, you'd give a finger.
I'd give them both up to be in that movie. Like, yeah, that cast is just absolutely
It's
insane.
nuts. He just keeps adding cool person after cool person.
So, will Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5 make money? Yeah. Will one of them be amazing? Probably. But I'm still selling James Cameron. Because if I could buy Denis Villeneuve, or if I could buy Taylor Sheridan, or if I could buy James Cameron, I bet you he still costs the most.
I'm gonna counter with the flip side of this.
I figured.
I'm gonna say that I buy James Cameron.
Okay.
And it's a hard one to stomach. I had to really think about this because, I mean, if we just both were selling Cameron, I think it's a fair point. I think your points are totally sound.
Yeah.
I buy James Cameron for a couple reasons. The first one is you never ever can doubt somebody with the level of success over the amount of time that Cameron has had success. Let's just pretend that James Cameron makes Avatar 2. It does come out, right? Like, it comes out next year the way it's supposed to come out. Nothing goes wrong. Let's say Avatar 2 comes out and it bombs. It's 3 hours. It isn't good. No one likes it. People don't see it. It loses money. And everybody's like, oh, he shouldn't have made Avatar 2. First of all, it's highly unlikely if that happens that he makes Avatars 3, 4, and 5.
But he can.
Maybe. He still has to get a studio to give him... He can't self-finance these. He can't spend $500 million on a movie.
I know, but don't you feel like if anyone can get money from somewhere, it's James Cameron?
Sure, but
Yeah.
I also think that 10 years later, 11 years later, James Cameron makes Avatar 2, it bombs. I think he shelves Avatar 3 and he makes a different movie. He's one of the few people I can think of that could experience the bomb level we're talking about, and I think could actually recover from it and still make another classic.
So you're essentially saying that James Cameron has to go through $1 billion bomb and you still buy him?
I'm saying I'd buy him even after that. And the second part of it, too, is anytime you kind of hear the story in Hollywood that there's something happening that you're like, that shouldn't happen. And it's logically, there's no way that should work.
Right.
Most of the time, it doesn't end up happening. So, take, for instance, all the Bryan Singer allegations and how he was still attached to Red Sonja for a year after it started. Mm-hmm. That movie has finally been shelved. And it's yeah, we all knew that was going to happen. But the people that were clamoring for it being I can't believe they're going to let him make this movie. It's they were never going to let him make that movie. Or you take, for instance, David Fincher was going to direct World War Z 2. It's we were all why is he doing that? That there's no reason David Fincher should be doing a sequel to World War Z. Eventually, it didn't happen.
But again, these are all people that don't have the power. Fincher does not have the power that Cameron has, even though Fincher is incredible.
And not even close.
And someone in the chat saying, one of Cameron's movies has made more than all Denis Villeneuve's. Well, one of Cameron's movies has made more than 90% of every director ever all put together.
And then I think my last point is look at Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was courted by teams for years and years and years. Finally, he was all right, you know what?
Yeah, look what happened when he...
I know, I'll do the Knicks thing.
Yeah.
And then they gave him a ton of money and they fired him and he doesn't have a job. And that's if James Cameron was to take this Avatar 2 thing and it bombed $1 billion, I guarantee you studios would be so are we going to let him make Avatar 3 and lose another $1 billion, or let's let another studio do that?
I just still think it's the dude that tells James Cameron no. He's all right, cool, fuck you then. I'm going to go next door, and they'll give me $1 billion. The fact that Brolin just got cast in Dune is also insane.
Yeah,
I didn't see that yet.
People are all talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, buy or sell. I mean, here's the thing. James Cameron will make more movies. Those movies will make money. Just if I had a perfect dream roster of directors, or let's say if it was if I had to pick one of these three guys to kill between Scorsese, Cameron, and Spielberg.
Yeah.
Probably Cameron.
So, guys in the chat, do you think that James Cameron is a buy, or do you think James Cameron is a sell? Let us know in the chat here, and if you're listening to this or you're watching it on YouTube later, leave it in the comments below. Buy or sell James Cameron. Let us know.
Who do you kill?
What?
Scorsese, Spielberg, or Cameron?
Oh man, this is what was the thing we did on the thing the one time?
Nope.
Furniture shopping.
Yeah.
Oh man, Scorsese, Cameron, or Spielberg. I kill Spielberg
just because. No, we're not. There's no other options. We're not playing the game. I'm just asking you to kill one. Right. You really kill Spielberg.
I almost went down that road.
Yeah, I know you did. I saved you.
Yeah, I kill Spielberg.
What? Because of the Post?
I just don't enjoy his movies anymore.
What was the last movie that Cameron made?
Before Avatar?
It was Avatar.
Oh yeah. It's a great film. We're here to talk about a great film today.
All right, moving on to box office and critical. This is obviously where things get very fascinating. This movie was produced by Fox. It cost $237 million to make. At the time was massive, $250 million to make a movie. It was released in December of 2009. Looks like you're winning all these.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I'll just read my.
I mean, I
wins.
already knew that's what a bunch of people that are like scared to be wrong do. Like, obviously, James Cameron's still going to make money, but I guarantee you, in 5 years, Denis Villeneuve will be exponentially more
Stoke
famous.
the fires, guys. Get him
Just
going.
saying. $760 million domestic.
It's a lot of money.
$2 billion worldwide for a grand total of $2.7 billion. And it was number one its opening weekend at $77 million. Absolutely insane.
Here's the thing I can't figure out.
What's
This is,
that?
I don't know. The thing I can't figure out is what was the thing in 2009 that could make this movie make $2 billion worldwide? Like, how was this movie marketed to the rest of the world that somehow the rest of the world was like, I care so much? I think, you know what I think it was? I think it's the literal end of the era where you could make tentpole movies that didn't have adapted IP. Like, superheroes as a genre, the MCU, stuff like that, like, we weren't into franchise world yet. So, like, James Cameron could still be like, I'm going to make this original sci-fi epic. I'm going to create it, and you guys are going to see it.
It's probably because you think about, I mean, like, I was just in Tokyo, and I think about, like, the idea of the technology, right? Like, that America was actually ahead of the world in this type of technology. Maybe it was it. Maybe, like, everyone in China, everyone in India, everyone in like, all of Asia was like, we need to figure out what happened here, or whatever it is. Or maybe it was literally just the fact that it was a new type of 3D no one had seen before, so everyone in the world had to go see it for $13.
Like, I think if Avatar 1 comes out today with an equally innovative level of technology, like you said, like let's say Avatar 1 was VR experience,
right?
And like every theater around the country that was showing it was equipped, like Cameron paid for like a VR.
Do you think it still makes
set.
$2 billion?
No.
I mean, I would have went to it, but I mean, again, in the States, it still only made like, what was it, like 700 million, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you have here people are saying, so Alvin and the Chipmunks 2 was its biggest competition since Matt Movie's 611. You know, there weren't any other movies out when this movie came out, and like, it's a fair point. I mean, 2009, around Christmas time, I do remember, like, this is when The Hurt Locker was in theaters.
Yeah.
You know, the big Oscar movies that were getting pushed that year were like Crazy Heart, The Blind Side had been a really big movie that year. You had like Precious was a really big movie that year.
They're all like really big dramatic Oscar draws, not like a fun family movie.
Yeah, like most of those movies, most of the 2009 stuff was kind of a soft year in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, like for like blockbusters.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, people remember this movie getting the extra push because this is the year where, you know, post Dark Knight, the Oscars were changed to include more than 5 Best Picture nominees. So, you know, then this movie gets the Best Picture nomination. There's buzz. It had come out towards the end of the year, so, you know, early next year when it was still in theaters, it got nominated for Best Picture. There's just a lot of this movie that just like right place, right time.
Right place, right time, right marketing, everything. Yeah, and the short trailer was sweet. So IMDb gives this a 7.8. Rotten Tomatoes, 82% all the way across the board, all top and audience. We have favorite line next. Do you want to work on? Do you want to go to one of those other games or no?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah?
Let's get to it. So, guys, as we've talked about, there are 4 sequels, 3 sequels or 4 sequels planned.
I think it's 4. I think there's Avatar 5 in the works.
Yeah, so there are a ton of sequels that are on the books for this. So right now, guys, stay tuned because Drew and I are going to pitch one film each that we believe deserves 4 sequels. Ridiculous or serious, doesn't matter. This is something that we would love to see, a series of 5. It can have no sequels in production currently, or at least that have been released. So we have to come up with a movie that we believe we love and should have 4 sequels. Do you want to go first or should I?
I'm going to go first, and it's going to be, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Mind-bending.
It's
hella crazy.
Can't say it twice. Most people are going to like roll their eyes. It's Wind River. I know, it's crazy.
You just want to see...
If I could literally see 4 more movies written by Taylor Sheridan, starring Jeremy Renner, solving mysteries, I would fucking be so in.
That's a great one. I feel like, so you're just like Jeremy Renner. Now you can't just put him in the same location,
No.
but it's like he gets hired by the FBI to be like their tracker, and they like send him around to like be that guy
and deal with like gnarly murders all over the country, like out in the wilderness, like Wisconsin, Alaska. Yeah, right.
I'd watch the shit out of it.
I would watch that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be so sweet, and it's also just like it would never ever happen ever. So I love the idea of it.
I mean, we did see a little bit of the issue with the Taylor Sheridan sequel and Sicario Day of the
too.
Soldado,
Yes,
which is like literally just taking a concept that was sweet and then expanding it and it's just like not being very good.
Yeah.
I don't think that movie's bad. That movie just doesn't feel necessary.
The first one is just so incredibly like compelling and like you're on the edge of your seat. You have no idea what's going to happen. It's like dark. And the second one is just kind of like a throwaway action movie.
Yeah. Is it my phone or your phone that's giving that little cell static?
know.
I was on
mine
cell.
farther away.
Yeah, I'm rarely in the chat, though now I am.
It's good to have you in the chat.
Thank you. It's lovely. Okay, so people are saying that it's actually 4 movies, not 5. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't affect the sake of our segment. Are you guys ready for the film that I think deserves 4 sequels?
Billy Belford just said Minority Report.
It's Bedford.
It's Belford. Yeah, I'm ready.
Guys, I'm going to go with a little movie called Gone in 60 Seconds.
Gone in 60 seconds.
And I'm going to tell you what, I want to Gone in 70
minutes.
seconds. I want to Gone in 80 seconds. No, what I want is Memphis Reigns to be hired in the same way that you're talking about, the same way that you are talking about in Wind River, where Jeremy Renner would be taken around the country to solve mysteries. I want a heist crew, and I want Memphis Reigns to be the heist master. I think he should be robbing banks. I think he should be stealing cars. I think he should be in disguise, teaching at elementary schools to infiltrate like pension programs and shit. I want Memphis Reigns doing it all.
I love it.
I want him to catch a Lakers game. I heard we got Shaquille.
I heard we got LeBron.
Yeah, I want because my thing is Nick Cage.
What would he say? Would he say, I heard we got the basketball king James? Yeah. That's what he would say.
He'd say, maybe catch a Lakers game. I heard we got Shaquille. I don't know, but I want 4 sequels to Gone in 60 Seconds. I would love it, especially if they leaned in a little bit and did a little bit of like the self-referential comedy.
Right.
They made the Gone in 60 Seconds franchise actually just like more like Fast and the Furious, and they just started adding a bunch of people.
Belford, does he steal boats in the sequel, then planes, then spaceships?
Yes! Cage is in space.
Cage in space.
I mean,
him and Cruise up there just hanging out.
They kind of did make a Gone in 60 Seconds too. It's called National Treasure, and it's him stealing the Declaration of Independence.
There's 3 of those movies?
There's 2.
There's just the 2. The Book of Secrets.
I've never seen any of them.
You got to watch them. They're really good.
Yeah.
The first one's okay.
Doing a
They're really
Cage
good.
or-
There are 4 more movies. Don't ever correct me on my show again, fans. Yeah.
Drew's pissed.
I'm pissed. So, yeah, it goes all the way through Avatar 5. I love what people have said here in the comments, though. So they've gone, I love 4 more 12 Angry Men, maybe. We got more, obviously, Tom Cruise. Now, Paul Oyama, crazy pick for me. I know it seems absolutely absurd, but 4 more social networks following 4 different moguls. That would be badass. Ben literally is... You got to cut.
I'm losing. I love that movie so much. Big shout out to Paul Oyama for debuting recently in the movie Trivia Schmodown.
Yeah, he wants to be a heel.
Yeah.
Do you have what it takes?
Hey, it was announced that he's got a match coming up, right? That's what's going on?
I think so. And I hear... I don't think his match played yet, did it? Or did it?
I'm not sure.
I feel like it might have actually aired already, but I'm not going to speak on it because we don't want to do anything that we've done before. But welcome to the league, Paul. I hope you never step into the ring against me because I'll destroy you.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. You know, Paul, you've been playing in the various different fan leagues for a while, and I know you've been quite the killer in there. So I know there was an article written on Trivia SD about you. I just don't know if your match has actually played yet.
Yeah. So if you want to just say in the chat if it has or hasn't, that way we can talk on that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't want to. It says
Brett
tomorrow.
Jones.
He says tomorrow. Yeah, he's literally panicking. He's sweating right now.
Oh yeah, you're ready to go.
Don't worry, we've spoiled things before.
We've definitely spoiled things before. Brett Jones wants and has fallen movies to never end. Love the idea to that. Jacob Leaf says 4 more sequels to The Prestige. Ben and I would be 100% down.
I like the Social Network idea. 4 more moguls.
I think it's really sweet.
Yeah. The problem is you'd have to get Sorkin and an adequate director, somebody on like Fincher's level to do it. Because I wouldn't want to see just like some shitty fill-in director or some shitty fill-in writer to try to do that. It just wouldn't work. The whole 4 more Hunter Killer, says Belford.
Abby Starling, National Treasure is legitimately my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, look at that.
Abby, we salute you.
You know that I have a replica of the Declaration of Independence that I, at my Nicolas Cage themed birthday party a few years ago, was given to me by Stephen Lemieux, who is the executive producer of this network. And he got it for me in like a tube. And then he had everyone at the party sign it for me, and I still have it. I've been intending to get it framed for a while.
We got to hang that up. And
oh, there's a strong point, actually. Steve Jobs kind of is the spiritual second movie in that series, isn't it? Because it's Sorkin and another adequate director, Danny Boyle.
For sure. I was kind of thinking about that, but like, yeah, and I would watch 3 more of those in a heart. I love both those movies so much.
Did you see the trailer for Yesterday, by the way?
Yes.
How good does that look?
It looks so good.
I'm like,
wait, what made you think of that?
Danny Boyle.
Boyle's directing it.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's a
Okay,
Danny
I didn't
Boyle
see who
movie.
was directing it, but yeah, I
Yeah.
watched the trailer yesterday and it was like fascinating.
Yeah.
And I love the very end when it shows the two guys walk in
Yeah.
and one of them doesn't have shoes on,
Yeah.
which is the classic Abbey Road thing.
Yeah.
Like, they said that you stole their songs.
Yeah,
Like, I
can't
can't wait to see what happens there.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So
Marissa, did you see the trailer for that?
I have not.
You
no.
got, yeah, as soon as we're done, you got to queue up the trailer for yesterday. You'll love it.
the premise of the movie is that this guy, I mean, this is, you see it in the trailer, but the
Yeah.
premise of the movie is that like basically this guy is a singer-songwriter and he wants to be a musician, and all of a sudden like there's a big power blackout, he bumps his head, and the whole world wakes up, and no one's ever heard of the Beatles
Or
and,
any of their songs.
and he starts like playing Beatles covers. People are like, you're the greatest songwriter of all time.
Yeah, he like
that's
starts
the-
playing Let It Be or something, and they're like, "Oh my god, did you just write that?" He's like, "It's the Beatles."
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing.
It looks really, really sweet. So
yeah,
yeah, so we're gonna get into the next section of the show, and that's gonna be favorite line. Do you want to go first, or should I?
I think I have one.
I think this is actually a good one we can open up to the chat, because a lot of you guys are like longtime fans of the movie. So let us know what some of your favorite lines are. I have a few.
I remember
that
what mine
stand out
is.
to me. Anyway, what do you got?
So mine is that Taruk is his name.
Is he the warrior?
That's the orange thing. The
Oh,
bird.
gotcha.
It's when Worthington's flying above it. This is almost actually my fist pump moment.
Yeah.
But I love it. He's like, Taruk is the biggest, baddest creature in the sky, right? He hunted, nobody hunted him, right? So why would he ever look up?
Yeah,
I like that.
That's sweet.
It was sweet. It was
Yeah.
like a very like military, like bro-y. I don't know. It just felt like
I like when you see Jake Sully give his speech, and everybody gets inspired, and the guy's like, "I'll be your wingman anytime." And then it cuts to Stephen Lang giving his speech to his troops,
Right.
And he's like, "That is a fact." And then he gives the last part, and he ends it, and he's like, "That is also a fact."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes, we're gonna get a showdown."
He's so good, dude.
Yeah,
he's
he's the best
so
part.
good. I love. There's a couple more in here. Well, the one that I was like watching the movie, she's like, there are 10 to the 6th power trees, and there are 10 to the 4th power connection. I was like,
It's like, "That's a
why
lot
the
of trees,
fuck are
right?"
you talking like this?
I know that like she's. I think Sigourney is the other best part of the movie.
I know she is
Outside, yeah. But Jarvie says here, favorite line, Sigourney says, I mean, they're pissing on us without the courtesy of calling it rain. That's good. Liam Gilpin says, favorite line, this is low gravity. It'll make you soft when you get soft. Pandera will eat you, shit you put dead with zero warning. Shit you out dead. That was a typo on your part. I read your typo.
Every living thing that crawls, flies, or squats in the mud wants to kill you and eat your eyes for juju bees. Sometimes your whole life boils down to one insane move.
Yeah. I do think, I couldn't decide as I was watching if I thought that the voiceover was offensive or not. Like, part of me felt like it was lazy. Like, a lot of this movie was just like, we need to explain everything. So Jake's
Right.
going to be giving voiceover, and we're going to kind of disguise it in like he does these video journals, so we can sort of try to weave the video journals into the voiceover, and that's how you can just deal with exposition.
It just felt kind of cheap.
Well, okay, so now let's talk about two things. There's two things that I want to talk about before we end the show today. The first one is I want to talk about what was it called? Zahiru?
Zahalu.
Zahalu. This
That
is
thing that we did.
Yeah. It's a weird decision on their part, because like Zahalu is like basically it's bonding with like the network and the trees, but it's also basically what happens when Jake and Natiri do it.
What do you mean basically?
It's
100% what happens.
But then it's also like what he does with his dragon.
I know.
And it's like there's like a level of like we're all connected that's supposed to be the story, and that's the part of it that I get, is that like everything is love and everything is connection.
I'm very uncomfortable.
But also like him like dominating his dragon beast sexually, basically, is weird.
Well, yeah, because he's like beating it into submission, and he's like, "Gah! Gah!" And he's like, take it.
It's fucking weird.
And he's like, we're one. And I'm like very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, my friend comes over halfway through the movie, and she's never seen it before.
Yeah.
And she's watching. She's like, "What the fuck is going on?" She's like,
Yeah.
"This is really uncomfortable."
Yeah.
She's like, "Is he beating that animal to like connect with it?" And then the next scene is him hooking up with Natiri, and she's like, "Is he doing the same thing with
Yeah.
her?" I didn't know how to explain it.
I agree.
I was like, "We got to start the movie over."
it made me feel a little weird. That's the one thing I wanted to ask you about, and then the second thing that I wanted to talk about. God, I got so sidetracked talking about Zahalu that I don't remember it anymore. Shit.
It's all right. It's all right. So while you're rethinking that, there's a lot of questions on the AMA page and the All About Action page that are specifically, is this the most overrated movie of all time? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it's the most overrated of all time.
John Harrison's really just throwing some shade at this movie. I've got this movie sucks.
Yeah,
it does
no,
not
it gets-
hold up.
it gets a
Super
little
overrated
racist.
in all caps. This movie is so shitty. OMG. Wow. If you'd like to add something constructive, also, I'm reading your comments on the air. This is your opportunity.
Or tell us why. William Belford, a little weird? You should feel a lot weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole Zahelu thing made me super uncomfortable. AMA question, like again, the one they asked the most was is this the most overrated movie of all time? And I don't think so. I don't know what the most overrated movie of all time is.
I remember my second point.
Okay.
So here's the problem with this movie compared to all the other James Cameron movies. Visually, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
There aren't any good characters in this movie. The closest thing to a good character is Stephen Lang. And Stephen Lang, you have no idea where he comes from or why. You just know that he's a military man.
And you know nothing about his back history. Is even just showing us how he got the scars would have been sweet.
Like Sigourney Weaver's a kind of good character, but you don't have a scene and you don't have moments between characters in this movie that I'm concerned for their well-being, or I'm like, wow, I could watch that scene again because the dialogue and the acting and the performance and everything was just so compelling.
The emotion, the whatever.
The Abyss scene, which was that's the Cameron movie I had seen the least that I'd never watched.
Same.
Was so incredible and memorable to me because of that drowning scene.
Drowning scene is one of the greatest scenes ever in a movie.
And we revives her. It's amazing. And he's so intense. That is what Cameron.
God damn it, you bitch! You never gave up on anything. Yeah, it was so.
T2's got great scenes. There's just so many moments in a lot of his movies that really stand out, and this movie just doesn't. The characters just.
And he doesn't have the excuse of it coming early in his career. It's
Yeah.
the last thing that he did. He already had the Paint Me Like One of Your French Girls. He already had I'm on Top of the World. He already had every great moment he's ever had in his career.
Yeah.
So that's why it feels a little odd. So
That's the thing that I honestly couldn't figure out. It brings me back to my initial point when we started the show, which was just this is a Disney movie that's been made before. So this is a little bit of when you give me 2 hours and 41 minutes of Pocahontas, it's beautiful.
Yes.
But at a certain point, when I sat down to watch the last hour of this movie, I turned it on and I literally couldn't believe there was still an hour left. I was like, this is Mulan's 87 minutes. There's 60 more minutes of this movie. I've already watched the length of a Disney movie.
No, I completely agree. When I remember when I just moved my mouse and I was like, oh my God, there's another hour and 10 minutes. I couldn't believe it. So, John Harrison, very, very vocal about his feelings on this movie. So, Ben, there's 3 action movie categories.
They're totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, and ridiculously legitimate. I think it's applicable to explain them here. Totally ridiculous. That's going to be Con Air, Demolition Man, Face Off. They're silly, they're awesome, they hold together, but they definitely make you laugh a lot, and you're kind of loving them because of their good badness. Totally legitimate. That's going to be everything from Gladiator to The Fugitive to Lone Survivor, Prisoners. They're intense, they're serious, they hold together really well. There's never a moment where you're like, I'm fist pumping because this is silly but great.
Yeah.
And then the middle category, which is ridiculously legitimate, and this is one where Point Break and Predator and
Rock,
a lot of our favorite movies, they're driven by some really strong component, something that really grounds the movie, but then they have some of that cheese to it as well. But it's it feels like you're watching something classic that you have to understand how to appreciate because you just love this kind of movie so much.
I think it's totally ridiculous. I know it seems crazy because there's so much about it that is it took so much time and effort and everything. But for some reason, I go back and I watch this. There's not one movie on this entire show that has taken me 4 attempts to watch.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the length and how compelling it is. I know that I could watch Independence Day Resurgence in less than 4 views.
I'll give this the middle category. I think Totally Ridiculous is fine, and I could see the justification. I think that I can imagine sitting down, because I remember what this was like watching it the first time. And I can imagine sitting down and being in a mood where I really wanted to watch something and focus, and it wasn't like I was trying to appreciate it, but I was like, I have the time, I'm going to appreciate this movie. And you can buy into the story.
For sure.
The relationships are real.
I think the relationship between Neytiri and Jake is maybe the reason why.
Yeah.
If that was if you could just latch onto that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it just doesn't totally work. Oh, wow, we've got some deleted messages from John Harrison.
He's out of here.
Congratulations, John. So, yes, that's going to be my vote there is going to be the middle category, ridiculously legitimate. Thank you guys for watching today. We've got one last thing left. That's going to be The Pitch.
I like that you've added to sound.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's cool. We had changed up the schedule. We had something in mind. We saw a movie. We liked it. It's produced by James Cameron. It's called Battle Angel Alita.
Yeah.
It's fucking sweet.
It is really, really sweet. It comes out tomorrow, I think, for everyone. Or did it come out?
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yep. So it comes out tomorrow, I believe, for everyone. If you guys can, take your honey to go see it. Maybe go with your families. It's actually a sweet movie. I think you could take like your kids to that
It's
are
awesome.
a little old enough.
It's pretty violent.
It is. It's PG-13 though.
Yeah.
And it was just fun and good. And like we'd seen Mortal Engines recently, and it almost felt like what Mortal Engines was trying to do.
Yeah, both legendary producers. You have James Cameron producing this, and you had,
Jackson.
Yeah, Peter Jackson producing that. In both cases, you had a related director, and you had kind of a female character in a world they didn't totally understand, with crazy effects. And Mortal Engines was very, very bad. And this
Yes.
Battle Angel Alita was awesome. I walked out of it thinking, and I don't know if I still feel this way, but I think it was my favorite movie of the year so far.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way walking out. It is interesting to see some of the negative reviews that have come out.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that we want to mention before we go, we kind of teased it at the beginning of the episode. We said we might give a little bit of hint to what we've been working on the last week.
Yeah, so guys, we Drew and I are kind of expanding this thing. There's a few details we can give you, and there's a few we can't yet. But if you do stay tuned with us here and on the Action Guys, which this week we're going to be doing Oscar-related show.
Yeah.
We're going to be, it's a kind of a cool one. There's some snub conversation, some discussion of this year's Oscars. And you guys can follow us there over on Collider Podcasts. But we are expanding this Action brand a little bit. The name we're going to be going with is Action Industries.
Yes, we are.
That is going to encompass everything from this show to our Collider Podcast show to our now separated characters in the movie Trivia Schmodown, Patreon content. There's going to be new stuff coming out, and we have asked last week, we announced it, some of you guys to help us out with it. So a couple of you we've had conversations with. There's some others that we may be having conversations with. Drew and I are still kind of finalizing truly the scope of what we can accommodate in terms of coordinating people to help us run this thing, but we really want to build something special, and you guys will hear more details soon. That's the exciting news.
Yeah, we are so incredibly grateful for all the people that submitted to wanting to help us. We definitely want all of you involved. We just got to create positions for everyone and make sure that we can manage all of these people. So as Ben said, very much more to come, but that is going to do it for us today. And Avatar, Marissa, as always, thank you so much in the booth.
Yeah, thanks, Marissa.
You're welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah, and we'll be back. We salute you guys as always. Be sure to check us out on Twitter.
Bye, guys.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.